Wizards of the Coast has decided to abandon physical Magic in favor of digital Magic when it comes to the World Championship, which has left a lot of Magic players asking, if we're shifting from paper to digital Magic, how am I supposed to kiss my opponent on the mouth to let them know we had a good game? Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to discuss what is going on with Magic the Gathering World Championship. Now, I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. What's going on is Wizards of the Coast is having the upcoming World Championship only in digital, specifically using Magic Arena, not MTGO or anything of that nature. Now, to just kind of head off any kind of conversation that may start about, oh, this is the end of paper Magic. I genuinely do not believe at all, that paper Magic is going anywhere. I don't think this is a threat to the physical card game. If you guys want, I'm not going to go into it over long here in the video because that's not what the video is about, but just to allay that conversation, because we do have this sort of scenario pop up where people will come into my comments and say, like, this is part of Wizards' plan to phase out paper Magic. Just look at the wild success they're having with paper Magic now, and you'll realize it's not reasonable to think paper Magic's going away. The collector's edition boosters are massively expensive boosters that cost Wizards roughly the same to print as regular boosters and are selling like hotcakes with in a market that wants hotcakes. So no, it really is a scenario where you look at that, look at the new secret layer offerings where they're essentially selling like individual single cards, right? I mean, they're just selling a Bitter Blossom with 4 tokens in one case. And those seem to be fairly well received. Overall, my biggest issue with Secret Layer is just the amount of packaging that's involved with sending you a couple of cards. But it does seem like when it comes to paper Magic, things are going very well for Wizards of the Coast. So let's put aside any concerns you have about paper Magic, like stumbling or anything. We're all going to be rotating our cardboard rectangles for many years to come. I promise you that. All right? So what's going on is the World Championship, which is 16 of the highest level beefy Magic players coming together to compete for $1 million. That is a lot of money. As far as I understand, first place gets $300,000. $300,000. That's more money than I've ever made in my whole life. If you combine everything I've made, I haven't made that much money. And you can just get that, boom, from one Magic tournament. That's amazing. Now, the World Championship up until this point has been done using paper Magic, right? Like that's just the way it was done. And it included multiple formats. So you could have like standard, you could have draft, you could have vintage masters. It was kind of in some ways, like a curveball event where you didn't know exactly what sort of side thing they were going to do. Now, let's be real. Over the years, they had reduced the number of formats, and really, in the last one, if I'm not mistaken, they were down to like 2 formats. So that wasn't as much of a part of the World Championship. I'll be honest, I thought that at one point, I thought they were just going to discontinue the concept of the World Championship altogether. But that's not the case. They've got one going on. They're going to fly people out to, I believe it's going on in Hawaii. So people are going to fly out to Hawaii to play the Arena Magic the Gathering World Championship. So there are pros and cons to this approach. And I figured we would just kind of go over both sides of the, like both positions, because there's definitely a camp of people who are like, oh, this is the worst. And there are other people who are like, oh, this is great. And then, of course, in the middle, there's a bunch of people who are like, meh. I'm fairly indifferent. If you're somebody who didn't watch the World Championships, it wasn't something that was on your radar, obviously you're not really going to care. Now, when it comes to events for Magic the Gathering and broadcasting them, because understand that we're in a new realm where Wizards is, well, actually, for real, they've wanted for the longest time, Wizards has wanted like pro players and the dream of being a pro player to be a catalyst to get you up off your couch and go, I will be the best! I will rotate all the rectangles to victory! That sort of thing, right? Like, they want you to look at the pros and aspire. Pros were supposed to be aspirational. That's why for a while they used to have pro cards inserted into Magic boosters where you could get one and it's like, oh my god, I wish I could be Flippy Gonads. Like, he's an amazing Magic player. And look at him on his card in his goofy pose to show he's relatable. I'm relatable, be like me. So that's the sort of thing they would do, right? And that makes sense. You want to use the whole like pro tour was supposed to be an advertising vector, like a way of getting people hyped and into the game. And it worked to a degree. In all honesty, when it came to like broadcasted matches and things like that, it did leave some things to be desired, right? The problem with like recording physical games of Magic the Gathering is there is a barrier to entry, like 100%. First of all, there's going to be a barrier to entry with Magic the Gathering no matter what. If you're watching Arena and you know absolutely nothing about Magic, you're not going to be able to pick up everything you need to pick up, right? You're not going to understand what abilities are. I mean, on the most base level, you'll be able to watch the cards attacking going, pow, 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 and the cards all going, ooh, look at me, when a big animation plays, you know, like when you play a dragon and then a dragon flies across the screen and you see its shadow on the ground, or something pops out of the card like, I'm a big fat worm, but I'm going to eat you, Billy. That kind of stuff anybody can get and be like, whoa, dragon, whoa, worm, right? That sort of thing is across the board. You don't need any understanding of the game. But if you take a look at like paper Magic versus digital Magic, especially Arena, when I'm talking about digital Magic here, I'm going to push MTGO off to the side. Because while MTGO is a fine piece of software, it's okay. It's not pretty. It's clunky. What's cool about MTGO is it gives you access to all Magic cards, right? You don't have to worry about reserve lists. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything is available on MTGO, which frankly is amazing. And it's available at a fraction of the cost of regular cards. So MTGO is fine, but we're going to put it aside because when it comes to talking about the actual visual interface and watching it, MTGO also leaves a lot to be desired. It does mitigate some of the problems that physical Magic has, but not as many as Arena does. So when it comes to watching gameplay for people, just regular everyday people, watching people playing Magic cards in physical form is not ideal. You have scenarios where, first of all, not everything is going to be available on the board, right? You're not going to be able to easily see everything all the time. And there are like other issues where you can have the reflection off of sleeves. You'll see the way that people position their decks. There doesn't seem to be an absolute 100% uniform way of recording matches across the board with different events. I'm not 100% because I'll be honest, I don't watch a ton of paper events. It's just, it's dull to watch in most cases. And also, you need to have an intimate knowledge of the format that's being played. You really genuinely do. Even someone like me who's been playing the game for a long time, if I haven't been paying attention, like if it's people playing standard, I don't need as much information because I can look at a board from far away and just be like, I've got a rough gist of what's going on. But if you move into modern with the sheer amount of cards and weird little corner cards that people have in their decks or new archetypes that are popping up, there's a lot more variation in terms of what you're looking at. And even for somebody who knows the cards pretty well overall from the game, it can be difficult to keep up with what's going on. On top of that, you have to deal with the players like snapping the cards through their hands like shuff, 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 shuff. Can you just stop shuffling all your cards around? It's a strategic advantage. I'm going to constantly manipulate my hand. And it's like, it's fine, but it's also not good for the watcher. You know what I mean? Sure, it may be great to give you an advantage against your opponent, where it's like, you can't keep track of, oh, I put something back in my hand, where is it? That kind of thing, right? Like all that sort of stuff. Or what did I draw this turn? I'm going to keep moving my stuff around to keep you off balance. But people trying to watch it are going to have a hard time seeing what's in somebody's hand, right? That is definitely an issue. Where with Arena, everything is crisply laid out. All the cards are easily available. And in fact, if you're doing it on Twitch, like if the events are happening on Twitch, you can even add an overlay, which I don't believe Wizards of the Coast has done on their Magic Twitch, but I don't know why. Because there are overlays that allow you to hover over somebody's hand, hover over the game itself, and you can actually sit there. Oh, you know what? Probably, what am I thinking? It's because they're splicing two different games together, where basically they have the Arena game of one person, but then they're actually splicing in the hand of the other. up at the top sort of thing. So that actually may be why. But they really should develop some sort of plugin for a Twitch overlay that allows viewers to hover over the cards and see them, because that's an advantage that we can't apply to the World Championship overall because it's not being used there, but is available on Twitch. I've seen multiple Twitch streamers using it. I've even downloaded the plugin myself for when I play Arena over on Twitch, right? So that sort of thing is actually really useful. The fact that you can hover over any card, see everything about it, that's really convenient for a not 100% invested viewer, right? Like when it comes to paper Magic, you have to be really, really invested in it. That's the people who are going to gain the most enjoyment from it. It's not good for casual viewing. Arena, with its additional bells and whistles in terms of like, check it out, maha, here comes the Dragon of Doom, that sort of thing, totally adds an extra layer for your viewers. Admittedly, some of the animations are obnoxious. I really don't like the three-headed questing beast animation. It just pops up and it just takes up so much space, and you're like, I just want to attack. I just want to attack with the questing beast, and I don't want to shut off all my animations just because of this. Animations are one of the few things I genuinely enjoy about the extra bells and whistles on Arena. I turned off the voices for the Planeswalkers because that's just, I don't need to hear them go, "You're gonna get it!" in their different variations. I don't need it in my life. But either way, Arena has all these extra little visual cues and enjoyable aspects. Arena actually also makes it so that there can be no cheating, there can be no rules disputes. None of that can really happen, but there are some genuine negatives that come along with doing it through Arena as well that don't exist in paper. One of those is if there are any bugs or glitches in the software, which there definitely are, that causes an issue, right? You can have people getting timed out or whatever other kind of issues. Wizards of the Coast doesn't seem to have a special build of Arena designed for tournament play yet, but that is needed for this to be effective. What they need is the ability to rebuild game states, to essentially put a pause on games too. If you played Arena, you'll know that somebody has to be doing something at all times, or after a very brief amount of time, the timer countdown will start to go, and people will start to lose their turns. It'll just pass to your opponent. And if it happens a few times, boom, all of a sudden your character, you're kicked out of the game, right? Your little character's head explodes and you're kicked out of the game. You just lose the match. So that's a genuine issue. I mean, if you need to call over a judge to ask for any kind of clarification about things before you do something to make sure your understanding of the rules is perfect, then you've got a scenario where while the judge is there answering questions, the players just kind of have to skip turns back and forth without doing anything, playing hot potato, unless it gets resolved like that. There should be a pause function. If a game crashes, there's no way to get the players back to where they were. That will just have to essentially start a new game, right? Like if Arena just fully crashes, you're not going to have the ability to rebuild your game state, which means you have to start over. That's not okay. There are little things like body language and the way that like people play games. The kind of bluffs you can do in paper Magic don't really exist in Arena the same way. Yeah, you can bluff by clicking on different stops. Oh, I'm going to stop each turn on each phase of the turn to make you think that I have an ability, that sort of thing. Or using full control, although I've heard that Wizards doesn't allow full control for their tournaments. I don't know, I can't state that with certainty, but that's what I've heard. So if that's the case, then you've got to set your stops every turn just to make it like bluff that you've got some kind of instant to cast, that sort of thing. There's also the emote spam thing, which I really don't like from Arena. Emotes are just, they can be used in a really obnoxious fashion. So that sort of thing also diminishes Arena to a degree for me personally, right? So it's really, what it really boils down to is that paper and Arena have their own strengths and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, what Wizards is looking to do is to create the most palatable visual circumstances possible. And you're not going to get that with paper. I'm actually at least half impressed with what Wizards has done in terms of their professional, like, esports and sports image. It feels like in some ways they've pulled back. It does. But in other ways, the way that they present things on Twitch with their transitions, their announcers and everything, it does have an ESPN level of performance in terms of, I'm not saying it's like the highest caliber stuff. I'm just saying it adds a level of polish and sophistication that makes it feel like something that's actually produced by a genuinely large company, as opposed to some 2-bit operation like what I'm running here. You know what I mean? It's like if I was to be broadcasting some event. Obviously, I don't have the best gear, the best lighting, people all dressed up in suits, all that kind of thing. But they are bringing that to the table as well. And so it makes sense to have like the arena gameplay because it just looks better. It looks more polished. It looks more professional. It's easier to follow. And overall, it does diminish what's available too. I said we're going to talk about all the issues from both sides. So it adds the extra polish, but it removes options. So you can only do a few things with Arena, right? You can do a limited event in terms of sealed or draft. You can do standard. You can do historic. Theoretically, you could do brawl. And then other than that, I mean, I guess they can make up some wonky formats programmed in there. But there are far fewer cards available on Arena, far fewer options. They are going to be moving into having all the sets available from Pioneer in Arena. So in the future, did I say Arena? I feel like I may have said it wrong there. I don't know. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so I may have messed up my words there. But either way, what I'm trying to say is they're bringing Pioneer to Arena, which will give us a much wider range of sets as well. So over time, Arena will have more options. So when I look at everything and take it all in as a group, for me, I think that switching to Arena is the smarter position when it comes to a business standpoint. It makes more sense. It adds an extra layer of professionalism. Also, if you move all of your big professional events to Arena, then you don't have to worry about any kind of cheating going on, because it does seem like there are a fair number of cheating scandals when it comes to Magic the Gathering, which is really unfortunate. It's too bad that people can't just sit down and play the game legitimately. I'm not saying everybody who plays on a high level is a cheater, but it happens frequently enough that it's given paper Magic a bad rap that is deserved in a way. You know what I mean? It's not like it's made up and unearned. But overall, looking at everything, I lean towards Arena being the way to go when it comes to creating an event for spectators, which at the end of the day, that's what the World Championship is. You take your best players, you put them in spectacle mode, and you broadcast it to the world. So that's my thoughts on the situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Will you miss getting to kiss your competitors on the mouth? Does that matter to you at all? Or are you one of those weirdos who doesn't even kiss the people you're playing against? Because, I mean, let's be real. That's not good sportsmanship. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, all right? And I will link some videos here at the end. I'm going to link some videos from this channel, and I'll link some videos from my other channel where me and my lovely lady make silly comedy videos. So if you want to come by and have a laugh, I invite you to do so. I thank you all for coming by. Big shout out to my patrons and channel members for making what I do even more possible than it would be. And to all of you, I say, remember, together we are the 6th color of magic.